Hey, how did the league come up with the figure of 7 games?
Well, they with Ron Artest, obviously there's some history there, so they factored that in. By all accounts, they wanted to give this some time to see if they got a better handle on exactly how badly Harden was injured. And you know they're always pretty hypersensitive about any kind of contact with the head or even anything, an elbow that aims for the head. So you knew it was going to be severe. I think some people out there probably will wish that it was longer and wonder why it's not longer, but 7 games in the grand scheme of things is a pretty hefty hit.
I was going to say, where do you gauge this in relationship to past suspensions for guys that might have had, if not similar histories, similar offenses?
I think for an elbow, it's probably as strict as we've ever seen. But again, because Artest has a history of doing things along these lines, or at least not a clean slate, that was always going to factor in. And David Stern has basically said as much in the press release here announcing this suspension, that someone with Artest's record, that pass does factor in here.
Do they look at the schedule at all on this thing? Because curiously, he misses Thursday night's game, the season ender, and then if their first round series happens to go 6 games, boom, he's back for an all-important 7th game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that will be brought up if the Lakers do go 7 in the first round. But to me, 7 kind of seems like, if I'm stepping into the NBA's head, that was what they deemed to be the logical split between 5 and 10 games. Andrew Bynum got 5 games for his playoff hit last season on J.J. Barea. This was deemed to be more severe. I know a lot of people were calling for at least 10 games or maybe more. This, to me, kind of seems like their compromise between Bynum and maybe 10 games.
Let's talk about the damage done to the Lakers as they head to the playoffs. We don't know their first-round opponent yet. Could be maybe the Grizzlies or the Nuggets or the Mavericks. How does Mike Brown start dealing with this?
Well, it's damaging on a lot of fronts because, for one, this is the best Artest has been playing this month since really the 2010 finals. I mean, he's been a different player in the month of April than he's been for really going on 2 seasons. He's gotten in much better shape, and this is not a team with a heck of a lot of depth as it is. So someone who can guard wing players as well as Artest when he's plugged in, just another reliable player. The Lakers need every reliable quality NBA player they can find because the drop-off from the top of their roster to the bottom is still pretty steep, even though they were able to bring in Ramon Sessions at the trade deadline. So to potentially not have Artest for the whole first round, that's a huge, huge blow for the Lakers.
Could he appeal this and be eligible Thursday and maybe a couple of games, or will the league move fast enough that this is solved by at least the start of the postseason?
No, there's no appeal because basically any kind of appeal mechanism in the NBA is ruled on by David Stern. That's the way the rules are written, so there's really no way out here. Basically, David Stern gives the penalty, and there's no recourse for Ron Artest. He's going to sit 7 games.
Before we let you go, how's James Harden?
James Harden has been tweeting today that he's feeling okay, but this is the first season in the NBA that they have all these new protocols with concussions, so he's going to have to pass ongoing tests here before he's actually cleared to go on the court. The good news for the Thunder, the only solace here for them, is their playoff position is already locked in. They don't need to play him again in the regular season. They can spend the rest of this week being extra cautious with him, make sure he's okay before they get him back on the floor. But they're going to be very, very cautious with him, and it's not just a Thunder thing anymore. This is the way the league is operated, and we've seen it all season long with guys who get concussions. They have to basically jump through hoops to get back on the floor.
NBA insider Mark Stein on the 7-game suspension of Metta World Peace. Thank you, Mark.
You got it.
Here's the statement from the head honcho of the NBA, Commissioner David Stern. The concussion suffered by James Harden demonstrates the danger posed by violent acts of this kind, particularly when they are directed at the head area. We remain committed to taking necessary measures to protect the safety of NBA players, including the imposition of appropriate penalties for players with a history of on-court altercations.